Stallion, what did you learn during the COVID quarantine of 2020?
I think I learned that I actually do not appreciate the transfer back and forth between my house and the office as much as I thought I did. I'd rather actually save that time every day.
You would?
Yeah.
Like you don't learn anything in the car on the way to work and
Well,
back?
no, I do learn during that time, but I'm saying I would much rather value that time to be able to do that at home instead of just be on the road all the time.
Well, if you didn't live so stinking far from the office.
You're not that much closer than I am. Come on.
Well, today's guest, not only did he take the time of quarantine to self-evaluate, but he also learned how to build a 7-figure business with his kids and family that Joey, at the end of this process, either he can hand the business to the kids and they can make a 6-figure living instead of going to college if they want, or he can sell it for multi-millions in 3 to 5 years.
Yeah, that's pretty amazing. I'd say that's an efficient use of your time.
Is that better or worse than what you learned?
I'd say much better.
Well, if you want to know what we're talking about, join us with our guest today, Daniel Espy, as we listen to someone who has a degree in dirt and Bible, but now is selling luxury bedding. Let's do this thing.
Welcome to the Wealth Without Wall Street podcast, your guide to understanding how to get out of the Wall Street rat race and start your own mailbox money lifestyle. Now, don't let these handsome Southern draws fool you. These financial minds are teaching our country to enhance savings, increase cash flow, and create passive income, all without the help of Wall Street. Are you ready to break through? Now here are your hosts, Russ Morgan and Joey Murray.
Welcome into the show. Today we have special guest Daniel Espy, good friend and client of Wealth Without Wall Street, joining us. Daniel, man, so glad to have you.
Thanks for having me.
Daniel, how does someone with a degree in golf course management and a master in theology end up selling luxury bedding?
I have absolutely no idea, to be honest with you. Yeah, I think it's your fault, right? I mean, you had one of these people on there talking about Amazon, and I was looking for something to do and fill my time. And almost a year later, I find myself on Amazon selling luxury bedding. But to give a little bit, I think more of the backstory is, about a year ago, I was kind of looking for something to do that really combined, I think, 3 key ideas for me. One, I was looking for another stream of income. My wife and I have built one business that's been really successful, and almost all of that is directly credited to her, not to me at all. And
Hope she's listening right now.
Yes, she will be listening. And so, but I said, we have this one great stream of income. It's allowed us to live the life we've always dreamed of living and do the things that we want to do with our kids, like traveling and funding our IBC policies with you guys and all that stuff. But yet, hey, what if? So how do I find another stream of income that could be a backup? But I also wanted something that would be for my kids. I've got 4 kids. 2 of them are teenagers, and I wanted to teach them how to start a business because I think it's a great lesson to learn. And if they don't want to go the college route, this is a way that we can start a business now, and they can hopefully make 6 figures by the time they're 18, and college may not seem that appealing in a few years. And the other one was for the sake of others. Because let's say, because we have enough money from our other business, I didn't need money from another business. And so if I never needed any more money, I could use this to fund like all the giving stuff that my wife and I want to do around the world. My wife has some really strong passions about eliminating sex trafficking. And so honestly, the goal is to never take any money from this business whatsoever and to just use it solely for the sake of others. So if God so provides, then that's would be our big BHAG, our big, hairy, audacious goal along the way. And so along that, you guys had one episode about Amazon. And so I looked into that and one of the programs, and And honestly, that one kind of got me in a little bit of trouble with Amazon, because I went to fill out, this account on Amazon and get this professional selling plan going. And, I got my account frozen and I didn't know what I had done wrong. And they weren't very helpful in helping me get it unfrozen. And so here I am, all these big dreams and hopes of doing this Amazon thing that everybody says is great and easy. And I can't even get to the sign up process. And they couldn't help me out of the sign up process. Uh, and then you guys had Neil and Reed come on from ASIN 360. And they did that 5-day free training that they do, where they just let you listen in for an hour a day. And me and my wife and my 2 kids actually listened to it, right? And man, it was just it was incredible. And we sat there and we talked about it with each other and with Neil and Reed, and got more information and what it was. And just, we said, this is something we want to do. We want to pursue this. We think we can do this. Their track record for success was just absolutely amazing. And we said, hey, let's do it. And so and let me just say something about them. If you're thinking about doing it, there's 2 different ways to do it. There's one level, which is where they're not as involved with you, but I mean plenty involved, and it's like it's $5,000, and that may seem like a lot, but I can tell you the value for that is incredible, because I've watched them partner with those people at that level, and man, what they give you is worth more than $5,000.
Well, let me ask on this, because for someone who's listening for the first time, maybe they don't even really understand that you can be a seller on Amazon. And that was a foreign concept, to be honest, to us a couple of years ago. And what you were speaking of is that we had done some episodes with people who were talking about how you could go and buy products wholesale and then turn around and sell them on Amazon. I think that's the path that you first started looking into. And then we did this 5-day, not challenge, but training with the guys from ASIN, that's ASIN 360. And we basically, they were teaching you the process of how to go and find a product, an idea for a product, then go create it private label, and then you could turn around and sell it. And you're kind of describing what those different options are. When you come back, I just want to start here before we go into the depth, because I know there's a lot to talk about here. I just want to know the conversation that you and your wife had when you said, all right, honey, I got an idea. We're gonna come up with something as a family, a product that people want to buy, and then we're going to sell it on Amazon. Like, walk me through that initial sales call that you had with your wife on getting her on board on this.
Well, yeah, I mean, again, because to put it bluntly, one of the great questions they ask the question everybody asks is, what the hell am I going to sell? Right? Because that is. And I love asking people this question. This is the most fascinating thing about the entire Amazon ecosystem to me. How many individual unique products do you think are for sale on Amazon?
Oh, wow. Millions.
Yes. 560 million products for sale on Amazon. Okay. So the initial thought is, what am I going to sell? And then you're like, how can there be 560 million products in the world, much less on one e-commerce system, right?
Right.
So that was kind of the beauty of it with talking with Neil and Reed and listening to their initial training is, you don't know what you're going to sell. You're just going to find something profitable that you're interested in. And for me, my interest is profit, right? And that's how I end up getting into luxury bedding, right? Because I saw this product and I was like, oh my, do you see how much money this thing makes? I'm like, I'll figure it out, right? With my degree in dirt and Bible, I will figure out luxury bedding.
I just figured you like to sleep or something, and that's what drew you to it. But
I do, and I will tell you, my product, yeah, it has changed sleep in my household. It's absolutely fabulous. But yeah, that was the initial, I think, sales part of it. Is that my wife comes from an entrepreneurial family, so for getting her on board and the idea of the kids, she said, yeah, we'll figure this out. And then for us, once we signed up and got started, this is where our kids really got involved, because one of the first homework assignments you're given in this process is they teach you how to find products, and then you have to come up with a list of 500 products. And then you And then you take all those products and you put them through their profitability green light spreadsheet, they call it. And it just shows you like, these are the profit margins, these are the returns. I mean, it just gives you all this information and you figure it out.
So let's talk through that part, because I think, again, the whole goal of this is for someone to get exposure to different ideas that exist. And you've already kind of guinea pigged this for us. So we want to ask you all the questions.
Yeah.
So you said that you had to pick out 500 different ideas. Was there a framework that you followed to determine, or is it just any 500 ideas you could come up with?
Yeah, so the general framework is you want to find products that sell between $30 and $100. If you look at a lot of the programs out there, they're going to teach you how to sell things that cost $5 and $10. But the problem is there's no profit margin in those things. By the time Amazon takes their 15% cut, plus their FBA fees, I mean, you're selling at such small margins. That doesn't include advertising. And these guys teach you how to do all that stuff, right? So you're sitting there and you just start looking, right? And you're like, what are things that I might be interested in? And I'll be honest, like the first 24 hours, like it was terrible. Like I could come out of 560 million products, I could figure out 10 that were for sale on Amazon because my wife does all that. I don't buy anything. And I said, all right, I got to figure this out. How do I do it? Well, guess what do? You scroll down to the bottom of the page and you see like related products. And then you just start down the rabbit trail, right? And then you click on this and that thing leads you to something else. And you click on that. Because at some point you're just trying to fill out the sheet, right? So like my oldest daughter, who we say is 13 going on 30, she is all into like horses and dogs and animals. So she wanted to do like all the pet section. So man, she just went through and she found like 100, 150 items that she could sell in the $30 to $100 range in pets. My oldest boy, it was outdoor gear and camping stuff and sports stuff and finding things like that. And then for me, I was just going anywhere and everywhere trying to figure out something to sell. And then I saw this one luxury bedding thing. And because what they teach you to do is you get that list of 500 items. Once you put those in the profitability spreadsheet, you get it down to 10 items. Because it's not just profitability. There's things about competition. And they have all these resources and tools. They have their own proprietary software that they've now developed that shows you the competition, how much in demand something is. Then you go and you can find that and you get it down to 10, and then you give that to your coach, and he's like, and he gave me 3. He goes, hey, this one, and this one. But if I'm going to be honest with you, he said, I'm not lying to you. That one right there, that's an $8 to $10 million idea. Now I don't know about you.
Whoa.
But that got my attention. I said,
so the dog chewables and the dog bedding and the expandable tent and all of that stuff got, okay, kids, thanks for participating in the program. Now we're going with my idea of luxury bedding, and
yes,
let's just hop on the back.
Yeah, because one of the beautiful things I think about Neil and Reed that I appreciate more than anything, as I was talking about the money to get invested, there's 2 different levels at which you can get invested. There's $5,000 and $15,000. Now I'll be honest, I knew I needed more help because I'm not very good at this stuff. So I paid for the higher level, which gets you more one-on-one intense training with them and help along the way. And I'll just say, they have delivered far beyond that $15,000 in every way imaginable. I mean, I'd pay it again many times over for the help they've given.
I want to take you through that process. So you pick out the idea, right? And you start looking through the profitability. You say, this is the one to go with. Now take me through actually making it come to light, like getting the product, having all of that done. Like, what does that look like in a super, like 10,000 foot level? How did you go through that? How long did it take? What were those challenges that you faced while going through it?
Yeah, well, actually, sourcing product is actually lesson number 2. There's 10 different modules that they have along the way. So lesson number 1 is actually shipping. Okay, it's a 4-hour lesson on customs brokers, on tariffs, and on duties. And as we all know, there's been a lot of talk about tariffs in our world. And so this is how the world functions. So, I mean, what other program is going to give you a 4-hour lesson on how to figure out how to get your product from another country into America, also how to figure out taxes and duties to make sure that this is truly a profitable product along the way. And so then from there, it's the sourcing part of it. Finding the actual product itself. And so then you're just trying to find this product, you narrow it down to this product, and then you start ordering samples, right? So you can get on Alibaba, you can get on global sources, and you can look around the world, and man, you just start contacting suppliers. Now they have opportunities that you can get on Fiverr and get sourcing agents. And I tried that, but I was actually able to beat the sourcing agents' prices, as some dude calling up these factories around the world, haggling with them, trying to get the best prices. And I'll be honest, it's kind of strange, right? I'm talking to people who English is not their first language, and I'm from Alabama, so I struggle with English as it is. But it's one of those things where you're sitting there and you're like, gosh, you're doing all this, and I've never negotiated a business contract in my life. This is what I tell people. Russ, I'm an Auburn grad like you are. I graduated in 1999. I got out of Auburn never needing a computer to graduate, okay? So basically, I can do two things on the computer before this. I can surf the internet, and I can type in a Word document. Those are the only two things I could do. To where now, I've learned how to create like immaculate spreadsheets along the way, and my wife and my kids are just blown away that I can actually put a formula in Excel. Never done any of that before.
Mad skills.
You never knew that you were going to learn, like, be an Excel genius by the time you ended up selling luxury bedding.
I created this inventory spreadsheet the other day, all from scratch out of my head, and I was just blown away. Like, I just sat there for like 10 minutes just staring at it, admiring my work. I'm like, if nothing else, all the cost of all this was totally worth just being able to build this spreadsheet. But then from there, you're ordering samples, right? Because you want to make sure your product's good. You're comparing other companies, and you get these samples in, and you're like, all right, now they teach you how to make a test order, right? It was one of those things for my product. They typically teach you a test order is like 50 units. My test order ended up being 1,000 units, just because. Whoa. Now there's a couple things here, right? One, I kind of had the financial ability to do that. But also my product, I didn't want to go on Amazon and seem like I was chintzy, right? Like I didn't want to go on there with like one size and one color, because I wanted to see what this actually do. I wanted to truly test the market. So I launched with 6 different sizes and 4 different colors. So I was able to launch with 24 SKUs, which is, again, when you break it down over 1,000 units, it's still not that many per unit, right? It's like some were 30, some were 150 units on those SKUs. So now most people don't start that big, right? Most of the people in our group, they start smaller, they dip their toe in the water. But this is one of those things for me that by the time it got to it, I had enough confidence and I had enough capital, being able to fund it through my IBC policy, to be able to do that, to pull that out, and to be able to fund this, and it's going really well.
All right, so let's break down for somebody that's just trying to mechanically think through this from a time. Let's break down time and money in terms of somebody trying to get into this game. So, first of all, the time for training and identifying your product. How much would you estimate that it took on a weekly basis or overall?
Yeah, so that's the beauty of it. When you sign up, they just give you all of the modules, right? They have recorded everything, and it has the homework and the questions, and the way it's done, it's not like horrible learning. Like, it's really fun and engaging because there's conversations going on with Reed teaching them and the other people. And so the 10 modules each average about 4 hours, right? But you can go at your own pace. And they're broken down sometimes into 10 to 15 sections. So you can bite this off in 10 to 15 increments whenever you have time. I was doing this during the COVID era when we're all at home doing nothing. And so I was able to invest a lot of time into it.
Okay, so that's roughly around 40 hours, right?
Yeah.
Overall. And by the time you got done with that, did you have identified your product by then?
Oh yeah, because you've identified your product by like module 2 or 3. So like,
okay,
10, 15 hours into the videos, you've probably identified it, because you probably do like one module, and then you have a homework, and then you come back another week later and do another module if you want to. And
Okay.
the sourcing one is the long one, right? Because the 500 products, looking that up, it was great having my kids. We were able to knock it out over a 3 or 4 day period between 3 of us, just banging out ideas at the kitchen table with laptops and Chromebooks.
All right, and then talk about the time it took to like get a supplier. What was that? What was that total time frame? Would you say it took to find a good supplier?
I mean, to find a good supplier only took me 2 or 3 weeks. You know, I mean, one of the big deals is we're on a 12-hour time difference. So communicating is very hard. I'm an early to bed guy and early to rise. So basically, you fire off an email at night, you get a new one in the morning. You have to wait all day, fire off another one. If you want to stay up to the night, like my wife does, you could probably make a lot more progress in that. But and I suffered a little bit from analysis paralysis because, hey, I've never done this before, right? I mean, and for me, I mean, this was a multi-$1,000 investment up front, and I'm sitting here like, I got all this money. I'm not going to be able to pay back the interest on my IBC loan, It's like, because this was my first, I'd never taken money out of the policy, any of those things, right? And so you're just sitting there and you're like, oh my gosh, like I'm ordering product from based on somebody's word at a company that I've never seen their face. And that's the beauty of Alibaba. They have this thing called trade assurance that guarantees your order, that if somebody even though you pay for the order up front, if it goes bad, Alibaba gives you your money back. They basically they hold your money. So they teach you these things in the system. Order from companies that only offer trade assurance. Don't order from these companies, and do it a certain way, because if you do it the other way, then you give them the money directly, you may not get it back. But I've now dealt with 2 different companies, and they've been on board, right? I mean, they've been above board. They have been totally professional. They've helped me. Because they know more about my product than I do. And they know more about labeling certain products here than I do. And so they've been incredibly helpful along the way. So really, if I was going to base it out for somebody, I would say within a month, you could start, listen to some stuff, and pretty much know what your product is. I mean, because you basically, when you order samples, you got to wait 5 to 7 days for samples to come in. Right. And you want to check them out. And so that's part of the length of time in the process, trying to figure that out.
Hold on one second. Joey, how long did it take you to get samples for unicorn stuff?
It took quite a bit longer than that.
5 to 7 days.
Now I'm shipping stuff from India, and apparently this was like right in the middle of like the lockdown in India occurred, and they could not ship anything
Have
in
you
or
been
out.
shipping anything from China during this time, Daniel?
Yes.
Oh, okay. Hey, by the way, I don't know the distance from America to China as opposed to America to India. It must be twice or quadruple as far.
See, so Daniel, I knew having you on the show was going to just create grief here with Russ. Like I'm feeling a lot of shame right now.
No, I'm just hoping, just like our listener, you're learning something in this process.
I have got to get these unicorns up off the ground. This episode is brought to you by 100unicorns.com, the most magical store on the internet.
Are you looking for ways to implement ideas, get exposure to new ones, and be surrounded by people on the same journey as you? Joey, where can they go to do that?
Go to wealthwithoutwallstreet.com/community. You can join for free today. Okay, go back to the episode.
Yeah. I mean, shipping now is a total different story than it was 6 months ago when I first ordered it. And again, it took me a little bit longer than most people, because I was struggling with analysis paralysis, because I was really trying to get, I wanted, if I'm going to do a product, man, I want people to get the absolute best product. So, there's a million people on Alibaba. How do I know that I'm choosing a really good company? How do I know I'm getting the best price? And so I struggled through that. And so I spent a little more time in that process than I did. I was running into some issues with production, those were just starting as far as length of time. Because my biggest thing I was trying to figure out was getting my product in before Black Friday, because I wanted to be able to sell during that time.
Right.
And so one supplier had initially had a 45-day production time, and then shipping is about 45 days from China to here locally. And then that kind of bumped up to 70 days because so many orders started pouring in from COVID, right? Because everything stopped and all of these massive orders poured in. And now I'm like, oh gosh, I'm not getting it for Black Friday. So I actually had to go, I switched suppliers, paid a couple of dollars more for the item per unit, but it was worth it to me to be able to get it in. And then I just renegotiated my second contract back with the original supplier, and I reduced my cost about $4 to $5 per set from the first order, which will make me even more profitable second time around.
So talk about when the product showed up. So you said you ordered 1,000 units in your first test run. All that stuff starts coming in. What is it that you did at that point?
Yeah, so this was the first. So this is one of the great things they teach you, and you would just never know this, right? Because I mean, you can ship directly to Amazon. Like I can arrange shipping to go straight from my factory in China straight into the Amazon factory into their warehouse, and boom. Well, guess what? If you've never ordered anything before, how do you know the quality is any good, right? And I will tell you, this has been a lifesaver to me. It was a huge pain in my rear end, but it was a huge lifesaver because, my product comes in on 4 massive pallets. It's 163 crates or cartons, they would call it, right? They use case, carton interchangeably. These boxes are 19 by 13 by 14. They each weigh 42 pounds, and 163 of them show up on my doorstep, okay? So we had to get some friends from church, load all these things into the house, separate them all by sizes and colors, and we start going through product. Well, we start going through product and we find out, hey, even though I had paid for an inspection and it passed the inspection over there, when it got here, there were some things that did not meet our expectations. There's no way I'm going to sell this to people. So we found a few units like, man, we're going to go through more of this than we thought to. We've actually ended up going through all 1,000 units. And we found about 50 that weren't any good. Now, the thing is, the company will credit us back those units. But those 50 units, imagine those ending up in the hands of people as your first few reviews on Amazon. That would not be going well at all anyway. So these guys, having sold on for 8 years on Amazon, Neil and Reed, and understanding all this stuff, this is why you follow their guidelines and process. So me and my kids became the quality control for all this, right? And so we literally unpackaged everyone out of the wrapper, out of its packaging, examined every single one, and we had to fix a lot of things with the product, and some just get rid of and discard. And so my kids learned all about quality control and why it's important to do your work well so that other people don't have to do extra work. There were lots of family lessons.
So I have a question around that. So you said out of 1,000 units, you had 50 that was not right. What is that? 5%. Yeah. So is that a normal percentage? What percentage of product were you expecting to be off? Because I guess you say here was the errors and issues. Do you assume that next time that it won't be 5%, it'll be much less, so then you'll feel more confident sending it directly to the warehouse instead of coming through your house?
So I've been told the industry standard is 2 to 3%. I didn't know that beforehand. My expectations were 0, right? So I've been told 2 to 3%. But also, this is just part of the learning lesson, right? Like, I didn't know what to tell them as far as quality, because basically you can go through these inspection sites and they have their own standards and regulations. Right. Where now, this second time around, I have a detailed list that it's like, when this new inspector comes, this is all the things he or she is going to check for and go through. And if you don't do it, I basically say, I don't want the order, and Alibaba refunds me my deposit that I gave you.
Right? So will you? So now you gave them a list. That's awesome. So you were able to come up with, here was the issues that we encountered and the things that we want. So you learned a bunch, and so then you created a checklist for the inspector to add to whatever their checklist is.
Absolutely.
That's really cool. So now the next order, will it come through your house or will you send it directly to Amazon?
If I had ordered from the same company again, yes, it would have gone directly to Amazon. But because I'm ordering from another company this time, but they're going to have that checklist.
Yeah.
Even more units are going to come.
So your friends are, and all the students around you that you had come over last time, they're saying, by the way, what week is that going to show up?
Exactly.
I'm out.
I went from 1,000 units to I think almost 1,700 units this time. But I'm going to have to place an order because I think what some people are wondering, like, hey, like, does this actually work? Do you actually sell stuff?
Yeah.
Let me just say, this has been beyond my wildest dreams. I started on Thanksgiving Day putting it. So never sold anything on Amazon. I am at the bottom of all the bestsellers ranking on all of Amazon. No one even knows my product exists. And they teach you how to turn on advertising. One of the key components that people really get messed up on Amazon is they throw something on there and they don't take into account advertising. And these guys, this is built into our profitability spreadsheet. If you're like me and you get a little anal about money sometimes and you're a penny pincher, just know the advertising cost up front is a hard pill to swallow. But as our coaches teach you, and this is why they're so great along the way, is Daniel, you're buying market share. That this is, you're not losing money, you're buying market share because you're climbing up the ranks organically to get higher on these pages rather than paying to be on the first line of the page. And so, because you start off on what they call your A cost, your advertising cost of sale, and they have this tool in the background, this algorithm that ends up pairing all this out and figuring it out really well over 90 days, but super good after 14 days. My A cost starting out is 200%. Well, needless to say, our target is 15%. And when your advertising cost of sale is 200% of where you're at, that is not a way to make money. But over, by the time 2 weeks was over with, that A cost was down to 40% again. So it's coming down. But I was selling so much stuff. I'm like, I'm going to run out of units, because the problem that I run into, that everybody's running into on Amazon right now, is when I started this, basically we figured everything on a 90-day production cycle, 45 days to produce, 45 days to ship. Well, I just placed my second order a few days before Christmas. I'm not even going to get, the product won't even be ready until mid to late April, and it won't even be in my hands until June. Okay.
Oh, wow.
By shipping. But this is around the world. I mean, this is the problem everybody's dealing with, right? So to fix this, and again, there's always a fix for it, is that I'll be placing another order in March. And even though I won't even be selling that second order yet, I'm placing that order in March so that it'll be ready for all Q4 and all the holiday stuff. Again, these are just learning lessons along the way. But, I turned on advertising for 2 weeks. And I realized, look, I'm going to run out of product between now and June anyway. I don't have to keep advertising. Well, even turning off advertising, like, sales just kept going, right? I mean, I just kept selling and selling and selling. So from Thanksgiving Day to the last day of December, I sold $57,000 in product.
Wow.
That's really cool. And you'd never done anything like this before.
Oh,
and all of a sudden,
didn't have an existing brand.
And so you realized you actually did have a product that the market wanted.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And that just based off, you see that ahead of time, right? I mean, they show you through all their proprietary software, you see how many units. I mean, that's what's great about it. Like, they give you this software, you pull up an Amazon page and it shows you, this is the ranking, this is how many units this thing is selling per month, here's the estimated profit on this stuff. And so you really see, because like for me, and so basically after 6 weeks now, like, my A cost yesterday was a true 17.5%, right? And that'll just keep going down, because the few units that I do have left, I have about 400, well, I should say I have 400 units left. I've sold 600 units, right? 50 of them were no good. About 75 of them I'm keeping in stock, for customer issues in case like somebody needs to swap something out or there's defective along the way, you're holding that back. And then I've got about 200 or so units that I misordered. This was my big boo-boo along the way. I thought one thing was another thing, but it's not that thing. And so I ordered the wrong thing, and I ordered way too much of that thing. But of course, I do have a way to get rid of it. It's just going to take me a few months to be able to do that. But now that I know what are my true best sellers, right, I've ordered a ton of those. So this next round is going to be really good. Well, what I'll say about profitability is I'm $3,000 short of breaking even of the investment I made for the product, shipping, tariffs, and duties.
That is really cool.
Wow.
Let me ask you a question as we're wrapping up. And I hope that people will engage not only with Neil and Reed. We've put the link in here on the video. If you guys are not watching this, you can go to ASIN, that's ASIN360.com/BAM, BAMM, and find more details on this. And by the way, Daniel's not a rep for them. He's just speaking from a personal experience. But we obviously did a live event during the quarantine where we had this Financial Freedom Live, and we did this training. And if you're not a member of our community, I hope you will join, because this is just some of the access that you get, but also you get access to other members. And Daniel's in there. I hope you'll take the time to reach out to him and ask him questions. But where is this going? Like, where do you see this going from here?
Well, I mean, this is what I'll say is I think the secret sauce with Neil and Reed is that they aren't just teaching you how to sell on Amazon. They're actually teaching you how to sell a business. And if you look at other programs out there, right, like they're just teaching you how to sell on Amazon. They have no investment for you, with you for the long term. But Neil and Reed have a long-term vested interest in you because they want you to eventually sell this business, because they have people with lots and lots of money who all they do is buy profitable Amazon businesses. And so Neil and Reed, in the long run, actually function as a broker, not taking a percentage from you, but taking a percentage from the buyer to be able to sell these businesses to these brokers. So they have so they're invested in you long term, because the more profitable you are and the more you sell your business for, they make more money with these brokers on the back end. So they're really invested in you as people and as a business.
So how long does that take? What is your then plan for exit on this? If it is to grow it to a certain level and then turn around and sell it, how long, what's your expectation? What's your time horizon for something like that?
Well, again, I think it's how fast do you want to scale it, right? Like I've looked at this and I've laid this out that it was like, because here's the thing. One, we homeschool our kids. Part of the COVID decision for us was we pulled our kids out of their highly rated private Christian school, and we intentionally brought them home to start a business together as a family. This is something we wanted to do. I'm also a full-time volunteer pastor of a church. And so I have a lot of things pulling at me. So I really can only give this a couple of hours a day at the most. I will say, once you get it up and going, like right now, I spend 5 minutes a day on Amazon doing this. It doesn't require a lot of work. It's pretty much set it and forget it. So a lot of it's just how much time can I put into it? And it's also, what do my kids want to do with it? Because if my kids want to take it over and have it become a source of income for them and not go to college and make 6 figures a year, doing this, then I want it to be able to do it. But if I was just sitting here going, I want to sell this in a few years for $8 to $10 million, from what I hear, it's basically 3 to 5 years to do something like that. Because my sales in 6 weeks were, almost 60 grand. So imagine what I could do over the course of a whole year. And, even last night, I found my new product to sell. And it's even weirder because it's in health and beauty. I mean, what is wrong with me, right? Yeah, I found this thing looking for something to add value to another product I was going to create. And I was like, really? Like, I can get this thing manufactured for less than $10 and I can sell it for 40.
That's
Well,
awesome.
I don't know about you, but that's kind of money I like to make.
Well, that's a great point that you make there. Is we get the question a lot is, man, you guys are doing so many things. You're investing in all these different ideas, and I don't know how to do any of that. And we make the comment that once your brain says this is important and you start learning and educating yourself and investing in yourself, then opportunities start appearing out of what seems like nowhere, but they've always been around you. And I think you just said that another way, is that now your brain is seeing products and you're creating opportunities.
Yeah. The thing I wanted to ask is, you started with the intention of this business being a family business. What are some of the things that you've noticed or maybe experienced with your kids, having started this from none of you had any experience to now where you're at today? Like, what would you say that's been like for your family?
Yeah, gosh, there's so much I could talk about right there. It's fun doing things with your kids, right? I mean, we live in this world where we're all going 85 different directions between school and sports, and we all lament the fact that we don't get to spend time with one another. And it's like, here it is, like, I'm teaching my children something that they would never get in school, right? Most people are going to go to high school, they're going to college. People with business degrees are going to come out and not have the skills that my 13 and 14-year-old kids have, researching products, knowing how to talk to customs brokers, watching dad build these spreadsheets and talk about profit margins, and just having those conversations about how we do business. Those are just some of the amazing conversations we've had along the way. But it's also, my oldest daughter, who again we say is 13 going on 30. She just won't leave me alone. It's like, Dad, I found this product. Dad, I found this product. Dad, when can I start my own brand? Dad, when can I do this? Because she's crazy about horses, and she wants to buy her own horse. And I'm like, hold on. She wants me to buy her a horse, and I told her, you can buy your own horse. You can launch your own brand on Amazon. And so it's just spurred that stuff in there. But it's also, how often do kids get to see their parents work, right? Like, hey, this is what it looks like to work. My first exposure, besides mowing lawns, was working at Wendy's in high school. I saw a lot of great ways to not work or to get out of work from my experience there. But they get to see, like, this is what it takes to run a family. This is the income that you need. These are the things you got to save up and think about as you plan for these things. So the lessons have just been innumerable, and they will just continue to grow as we talk more in depth about what are the possibilities to be able to do this. Because I just keep asking the question: you want to work 10 hours a week for yourself or 60 hours a week for somebody else?
Oh, that is so powerful, dude. That right there. We're
mic drop.
That is it. That is definitely where this needs to end, because that is the great summation of what has happened over this time frame. This is amazing. Thank you so much for taking action on this and being willing to share it with us. This is something that when Joey and I had this dream in the middle of quarantine to say, let's do this Financial Freedom Live. Let's find some avenues where people can invest in themselves and take action. This e-commerce space was one that we were like, that's interesting. Joey's fledglingly trying to make this happen.
Hey, just to clarify, what you did is you followed the process that began with a product. You started with the profitability. You started with creating your own brand, all that. And what I've done is not that process. And I wish that I had started the way that you have. But what I'm trying to do is take an existing brand and then bring it to Amazon, which is a lot harder, is what I'm finding. But anyway, just to clarify so people understand.
It's okay. Don't worry about it, Joey. You're failing. But hopefully forward, and thankfully Daniel has shared an example of how it can be successful by doing it, as you said, the proper way. So Daniel, thank you again for coming on. I hope that people, as you're listening to this, that you will reach out to him, interact. I hope you'll take advantage of the Amazon space. Neil and Reed are definitely trusted advisors, someone that we've got to know over the last year and a half. And go to asin360.com/BAMM and find out if this is a process for
learn
you.
more.
But again, at the end of the day, it's all about getting more of your time back so that you can spend it with the people that you enjoy. And that's what I've heard, and that's what I've taken away from this interview. Thanks again, Danny, for coming on the show.
All right, thank you, guys.
All right. Thanks as always for listening to Wealth Without Wall Street, and we will see you on the next episode.
This has been the Wealth Without Wall Street podcast. Don't forget to subscribe to the show to break free of the Wall Street mindset and begin building wealth on your own terms in places you understand, so that your wealth will never run dry. See you next episode.